Hello, everyone. Okay, so this is exciting. Dr. Theresa Larson with Movement RX. I am in the lobby of our headquarters. It is a quiet day here in Kearney Mesa, San Diego. So wherever you're coming in from, welcome. I'm very excited to present this topic today from a standpoint of, one, we're going to talk about body ergonomics and like how you want to position your body. That'll help save your neck, major discomfort, your low back, hips, but also like have some fun with like shifting your home life and building a station that works for you at a low cost or no cost using what you have. So that's how I roll. I like to use what I have to mobilize, to keep my body healthy with very little cost. So I actually, in our office over here, I built a standing workstation for myself. And it's not perfectly fitted to my size, but I've been able to adjust my body to the standing station as well as the sitting station. So today I'm going to give you some tips on, rules of engagement for, the workstation, rules of engagement for building the station, and rules of engagement for your body. And if you don't hit all the points, it's okay. Right? You're at home a lot. I'm transitioning from place to place to place at home, depending on if I'm with my toddler or I'm by myself. So, got to roll with it. This is adapt and overcome. So let's get started. And for those of you, just so you know, we'll have questions. You can ask questions at the end. So we're probably going to run for about 20 minutes here, teaching you some things. I'm going to shift my camera down so you can see a station that I built, an improvised home station that I built down here on the ground. But feel free to ask questions at the end. We've got this going on Facebook Live too, so we'll try to check that, as well as there's a Q&A box that you can click and ask there. Okay, so the thing about standing more. So if you are sitting all day normally and you want to go to a standing, the goal would be to go to a standing, more of a standing position during your day. So the goal today would be to get you to at least 50% of your day being able to stand and work, and then 50% of your day sitting and or kneeling or in a stretch position. So the thing about standing, so I'm going to share my screen with you all because I want to share some stats with you. Go here. Okay, so everyone should see my screen here. Okay, so there are some major benefits to, these are all the stats of sitting or standing, but the major benefits to standing more during your day is, one, it's going to lower your risk for just chronic systemic disease like cancer, diabetes, and any other orthopedic issues. Because if you can imagine when you sit, right, we're not like actually designed to sit. Tissues become more sedentary, turned off, things of that sort. I want to make sure you all can hear me. Hold on one second. Yeah, okay. So tissues can get turned off, and that's something that can cause issues over time. So for example, the glutes, when you sit a long time, the glutes can get turned off, and that affects your lower back, right? If your glutes are inactive and then you get up to go and walk around or do some fitnessing at the gym or a sport, like your glutes have been sedentary all day, and those are the things that protect your lower back. So the lower back can start hurting, and or just like your forward head, like you're staring at a screen and your forward head, your head starts going forward, right? That causes neck issues. But just the sedentary issue creates a systemic thing. So it's not just orthopedic joint soft tissue, it's your digestion, it's your cardiovascular system, it's your nervous system. All of those things are actually affected. So that's why this topic is actually super important. So by standing more, it will actually increase your the strength of your physiology. It'll increase your focus. Hold on one second. I'm just going to do a quick, sorry everyone, I'm going to fix the live stream here. One moment, commercial break. I just got notice we aren't streaming live, so I'm going to do that, upload that again. All right. So it's going to increase your focus, and it's also going to decrease your going to the restroom. You need to go to the restroom. So let me pull this picture back up for you. Yeah, so it's going to decrease your risk to need to go to the bathroom. And it's also going to increase libido, and it's going to increase your ability to burn calories upwards of 50%, which is pretty rad. So if anything, you're going to be burning more calories during the day by standing more. So if you take a look at the head-to-toe ergonomics here. So we've got the person standing here. So things you want to think about from head to toe, whether you're at work or you're at home, is that the top of the monitor should actually be the top of your head, like towards the top of your forehead. The eyes should be at a 28 to 30 degree, so 28 to 30 inches from the screen. So you don't want to be like right up next to the screen. You want to be about 28 to 30 inches away. The table, so the keyboard should be slightly below elbow height. So you want to make sure that your elbows are at about 70 degrees flexion. So you don't want them, or actually, if you see this picture, it's almost towards 90, but the hands could even be down more. And that's the same with sitting or standing. So notice screen and monitor height is still the same sitting to standing. And then the feet, ideally, you want to be standing, if you're standing, are on a soft surface versus a hard surface. And you want your feet to be shoulder width apart. Now I'm going to explain some ways to manage your stance too that will help a lot too, especially if you can't get that perfect standing station height. Okay, so back to where we were. Everyone can hear me, yes? Okay, good. So now we've got, so how are we going to build this? We're at home. Like those are like ideal things, right? The sitting versus standing height, those are ideal. But what do we do when we're at home? So I use, at home, I've used a piano, I've used our pub table, I've used a ledge that looks out of the window, I've used a chair, I've used a coffee table. And what you want to do is think about those ideals, right? At least have the monitor at your head height and then the keyboard a little bit below the elbow height. And so I'm going to show you right now just my like a kneeling workstation option. All right. So, and you got to see my pregnant belly here. All right. So let's say, you know, I've got my standing station. So like my computer's on a desk, right? I can put on my desk, which is what I've done, is a bunch of boxes or a file box, right? Cheap. Books, a box, a file cabinet, or a file box, easy. And I can use that on a desk, a regular desk, and stack them high so the monitor is at my head height. And with the keyboard, right, I can have an external keyboard attached to my laptop to make sure that when I'm working on my computer, right, whether I'm kneeling or standing, right, I can work with the elbows. You actually can't see. Here, let me move this, my microphone. So you see here, like my elbows are slightly in front of my midline, okay? My elbows are 70 degrees versus 90. Actually, this would be more like 120 degrees, my bad. But you want to have, it can either be here or here. And then elbows are in front of the body. And then the monitor would be sitting up here, so my laptop. So the monitor height would be my head height, okay? And so I could work like this, sitting back on my heels. Now, for some of you, that might be actually kind of hard to do. So maybe you want to get into a tall kneeling position, right? This is for the 50% of the day that you're not standing. So we can stack another box up here. I've done things like this. This might be a little too high, but I've got other options here, like a box, right, from the gym. that can work. So this would work if I wanted to do that and have the monitor up here, right? That would mean that my elbows are a little bit more bent, right? But at least the monitor would be at my head height. So that would eliminate my need to bring my head forward. So I'm going to have to sacrifice elbow position really, or the angle of the elbow for the fact that my head is looking straight forward, right? We don't want to be super close to the screen. We want the monitor to be at our forehead height. That will help us eliminate doing this kind of thing, okay? And also, when you think about, and I'll talk about this a little bit because my sister-in-law is an optometrist, so we'll talk about what the eyes should be doing too to save your eyes from just staring at the screen all day. So again, this is a chair, a box, right? You can get these little boxes, order them online, right, and stack them. I've got about 5 of these that I use, that I can stack them to different heights depending on if I want to sit back or sit up, right? These boxes probably would cost you, I think they cost me $30 total. File cabinet or file box cost me 10, right? It's not a lot of money. So you kind of just have to use what you have in your environment to make sure that whatever position you want to be in, kneeling, sitting back, right, in a hip stretch position even, right, that your head, again, is at monitor height, your eyes are about 30 inches from the screen, and you're able to maintain a straight spine versus slouched spine, okay? So, and then of course, if you can, get an external keyboard that you can use with your laptop so you're not always, doing this or, having to work on your laptop like this. That would help. Especially if you can create a workstation where there's a place for your keyboard. May or may not happen, but try. See what works. There's also, I've used this before on a table. So in our lobby, we've got a kind of a waist-high table, and I just put, right, this on top of the table, and it's not going to work here on this thing, but put my laptop on there and can work from there, right? So that creates a standing workstation option. Just make sure that that table that stool is on is sturdy. And just for reference, you can use a pillow. So I've got here at my office an Eric's pad. I've got one at home. You can use pillows, you can use an ab mat, like anything soft to kneel on, and then a rug to stand on. So hopefully those things help you, right? Priority order is neck position. Where is your neck? You want to be staring, right, at the computer screen in front of you with the monitor height here, all right? And then now, so get creative, boxes, books, file boxes, right? At home I use books. Here I've got a file cabinet, a little file box. I've got the CrossFit gym box I can use. I do what it takes, and I have an external keyboard here and an external keyboard at home. And believe me, as a remote worker, physical therapist, mom, I'm constantly shifting my environment. And so I have to, sometimes I get caught in this position, right? But I remember that I have things at home that I can use. I don't have to buy a $1,000 desk, a standing workstation, which is sometimes what they cost. So now let's go over stance and body mechanics. So whether you're, and let's start with the standing position. Okay, so right now, because I'm using a lot of my tools to show you, I'm actually kind of looking down at my keyboard. So my feet, when I'm standing at my workstation, right, I want to be with my elbows slightly in front of my body, my chin is tucked, so elbows forward, chin is tucked, shoulder blades rolled back, my butt and my hips are in a neutral position, so think about squeezing the butt a little bit, maybe 10, 20%, or tucking your pelvis under so you're not in this extended position. Show my belly here. So you don't want to be extended here, but just squeeze the butt a little bit. And my feet are hip width apart. So I'm aligned, right? If I were to go stand up next to a wall with my heels, my butt, my back, my head should be touching the wall, all 4 points. Head, shoulders, knees, head, shoulders, butt, and heels, right? So that's the alignment. So when you stand up at your station, right, you want to have that same posture, ideally. So with your stance, though, so for me, my feet are hip width apart, but the screen is kind of low for me right now. I'm looking down, which is going to create this posture, which is going to build a straight spine. Like my neck is going to become straight over time, right? Not have the nice lordosis it should have. And the muscles of my upper back are going to be really fatigued from trying to hold up my head. And you're probably already feeling that. So what I'm going to do is just, okay, I don't have any more boxes to use, so I'm going to adjust my standing station. I'm going to stagger my stance. So I'm going to bring my feet out wider. And so now I'm kind of in this a stretch position. And actually, let me move this stuff back so y'all can see me. And I really like this position the best to work in with my staggered stance. So I'm going to move this down. So if you look, I'm going to be standing like this, right? I don't have as much room to move side to side or hang out like this. And it feels good. So I can have my knees slightly bent, my toes are forward, and I can work like this. Versus here, sometimes I end up wanting to do this, right? But if I am in this position, another good way to hold myself solid here is put my foot up on a box. Like, and put it here, right? Put my foot up on something and work like that and kind of switch. That's also doable. But my favorite position is to be standing like this because I can adjust my body, right? So I'm looking down at this monitor. So really presenting now, I can get down like this. Now I'm looking straight at you. The monitor is at my forehead height. Feel pretty darn good. So the other thing about your feet, okay, and standing, take your shoes off, right? Take your shoes off, wear your socks or your bare feet. You're at home, so setting on a softer surface, it'll give your feet have so much sensory input in them. And when we wear shoes, they're like foot prisons. So give yourself a chance to work with your bare feet, let your feet feel the ground. And more likely than not, the arches of your feet are gonna build strength from doing this, right? Versus just sitting in orthotics with cushy shoes. Like you don't have your body doesn't have a chance to actually enjoy the environment of the ground. And it will improve proprioception, it'll improve, which is your ability to know where you are in space. It'll improve your balance over time and strengthen your feet, which ultimately affects the strength of the rest of the body. So now let's go into, so I mentioned hips should be neutral. So I'm here, I'm trying not to throw my belly forward even though I'm super pregnant. I'm trying to keep my butt squeezed slightly to keep it active, right? I'm going to be way more active standing than I am sitting. My shoulders are rolled down and back, and my chin is tucked. So my ears are in line with this AC joint, right? Versus being here, the AC joint is at the top of my shoulder, my chin's tucked back, right? If you give yourself a double chin, who cares? You're going to save your neck. And I'm not saying double chin by what you eat, just double chin because of your good neck posture you're holding. And maybe you have to over-exaggerate it, but that's okay. And then the last thing to think about is that elbow position. You don't want the elbows, again, back here, because you're going to promote that forward shoulder position. You want the elbows slightly in front. But if I were to compromise one thing, if I were working at home, right, it would be the fact that elbow position might have to change because of what I've got available and the keyboard and what I have available for the keyboard. I just want to think about my neck, my head position. If I'm looking straight at the monitor, 30 inches away, monitor is at head height, pelvis is neutral, so butt slightly squeezed, feet are spread out, active, and or hip width with one foot up, right, alternating. And now the eyes. So those wonderful eyes that you have, make sure that, so this is when we're going to go into other tips of like what you can do for your body and keep it healthy, not only just positionally, but the eyes, like every 25 to 30 minutes, you want to be moving around for at least a couple minutes. Just go take a break. It's good for your brain, right? Your brain needs the break just as much as your body. And take your eyes away from the screen. So stop looking at something 30 inches in front of you and look at something in the distance. So my sister-in-law, Dr. Lisa Hornick, she talks a lot about eye care. And so taking your eyes off the screen, don't go back to your phone to see who texted you, but actually take your eyes off the screen and look at a distance and move around a little bit. Maybe do some stretches, like some toe touches, right? Reaching over your head, extending back, maybe getting some rotation in there, right? So just anything to get your body moving and joints moving for 100, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Take your eyes, look at a distance, and then come back. And put a little like sticky note on your computer every 25, 30 minutes, or an alarm, right? That's science proves that that's actually going to really help your focus, which is important for productivity, right? You don't have to work all 8 hours in a day, right? And you can just focus in and get 3 to 4 hours of good work done because you're managing your time and your body well. Awesome. So you might have to work more, but make sure that you're taking those frequent breaks. And then just know that, we're not striving for perfection, for perfection here. The rules of engagement for body stuff is that you want to just prioritize your spine, right? Where is my neck on my body? Am I here or am I here? Remember the wall check. Sit up against the wall, heels, butt, shoulders, head against the wall. Where are you at? Step away, get to your computer, right? Keep that chin tucked, keep those elbows slightly forward, position your body like staggered stance or shoulder width stance, depending on your screen monitor and what you have available. And then the same thing applies when you go to a kneeling position or a seated position. I actually don't have a seated desk with me right now, but to show you, but I'm going to go ahead and kneel down, right? Tall kneeling position. The same thing applies. Like, okay, my shoulder blades are rolled down and back, chin tucked, elbows are slightly forward, my butt squeezed, right? And I'm on my knees on a pillow on an Eric's pad, but that same concept of where the monitor should be and keyboard is the same, all right? And it might look janky. Who really cares? Because at the end of the day, right, you're going to be moving constantly, up and down, kneeling, tall, standing position. Your body's designed to move, and that's really the key too. Is like, I don't just advocate you need to stand all day, right? Let's build to, over the next few weeks, build to a 50% standing day, and you can sit or kneel half of the day, right? It doesn't have to be all or nothing, and it doesn't have to look perfect. Again, the priority is your spine. So with that being said, the last thing I want to say is that with sitting, when you do sit, so we've got a chair here, which let me show you. I want you, if you're going to have to sit in a chair, so be it. But if you're going to sit in a chair, make sure that your butt is all the way back to the end of the chair, right? Unless, this is a pretty long chair and your desk is here, so if you have to sit forward, fine. Ideally, you want to have your butt all the way to the back because it'll eliminate this kind of sacral sitting, we call it, that happens, that really doesn't help your glutes. So ideally, if you have a more narrow chair to sit on, right, great, then keep your butt to the back of the chair. If you don't, sit forward and have your knees out, kind of like you would when you squat, right? So then you can have the monitor where it needs to be, keyboard, books on your desk, whatever, but you're still in a good position and your pelvis isn't going to slump. So make sure that you don't get into this position. Maybe put some pillows behind you or whatever, but just try not to fall into this position. All right, that's going to affect your glutes big time. And at the end of the day, you're just not going to feel that energetic too. So any questions? That is the end of the Home Ergonomics quick down and dirty webinar, but I am open to questions. I'll hang out for just a little bit. Please ask them in the question box. We've got that, and then we've got, for those of you that are on Facebook Live, I'm going to check and see if you all have questions there. So one of the things that you can do, so we've got a question on like how to split up the day. So my suggestion would be to do an hour of standing. So get your standing workstation set up, and then get your seated workstation set up, and make that space really clean, okay? So don't have a lot of stuff there if you can avoid that, because that just creates clutter up here too. So go for an hour of sitting, right? Taking that break every 25, 30 minutes, and then go for an hour of standing, taking a break every 25, 30 minutes, and alternate throughout your day, doing that to start that way. And then you can start to, you know, if you're like really tired from standing, then, you know, sit for a couple hours and stand for an hour, right? So that's how you can adjust. But you'll build the strength and endurance over time. And we have a question in, what are your recommendations for back support, like lumbar rolls while sitting? Yeah, I'm a big fan of lumbar rolls. You can use lumbar roll, like especially for a chair like I just showed you, placing, you know, towels, pillow with a lumbar roll behind you just so you don't fall into that sacral sitting, I think is really helpful. The only thing though about lumbar rolls is that it doesn't create an active spine. So when you are sitting, just make sure that you have those feet flat on the ground and your knees are out, and you're taking those 25 to 30 minute breaks, because even with a lumbar roll, you can get lazy and kind of sink into it, if that makes sense. And it still creates like inactivity in your postural muscles, if that makes sense. It's like wearing, well, I wouldn't necessarily compare it straight to orthotics or like cushy shoes, but just be mindful that it's just there as a cue to keep your spine straight and stay active, if that makes sense, Jessica. Let's see here. I'm gonna go to the Facebook Live. Anyone else have questions? I'll hang out for a little bit longer. I know this topic is one, everyone's got a different home life. So the key is have a sense of humor. Hold on a second here. All righty. Let's see the live. All right, no questions on the live. So if we have no more questions here, then we will call it a day. Thank you all for your time, and next week we'll have a different topic, maybe even a guest. We'll be announcing that on Monday. And if you have any questions after this webinar, please ask. All right, everyone.